All right, we're live. Welcome to 6G Agenda. How we doing? I'm Andrew, here to talk again about what they won't, but you guys know that already because we do this every week, almost daily. Thanks for joining me on a Saturday. Tried to entice you to do so. It's a very exciting episode. I'm very excited for the content we're going to talk about, mainly because of all the crazy shit that's going on right now. It's going to lead into the nuclear scientists that have been going missing, all the different stuff we see in current events today. I think it's very pertinent, very important, and very awesome. And also, we're basing the whole thing, starting probably the first half of the show, is going to be based off of the Externalization of the Hierarchy, which is a book from 100 years ago, written by Alice Bailey. And so, obviously, for obvious reasons, I would think, that is some wild shit. So we got current events going on right now, probably the second half of the show. But to lead into that, we're going to talk about Alice Bailey's book. We led into that a little bit with the Project Lucid stream. I keep talking about it, but it's on the members only archive under lives. I definitely implore you to go check that out. You could join our It's a Big Club membership, just like George Carlin. It's a big club and you're not in it. This one you are in. So come join. And yeah, we're going to have, all the streams go over to there for a little bit till it goes on the free feed. So I, suggest that you check it out. But otherwise, you can catch us here live if you do so. Then awesome. We get all the engagement and everything else. You can chat, comment. If you want to reach out to the show, 6gagendapod@gmail.com is where you can talk to us. And otherwise, like, follow, share the show, subscribe, all the good stuff. Give us some hype points. Apparently you can do that. That's cool. So if you're listening to this after it's posted, definitely do that. And, if you're on Spotify, give us a rating and review us on Apple. But otherwise, let's get it going. We've got some crazy shit. Welcome in, Flux. How you doing, man? We are going to get twisted, dude. Yeah, dude, we are going to get twisted. He's talking about in the age of Aquarius. All the furniture is going to get glued to the ceiling. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what's funny? Actually, I literally laughed whenever I read that, Flux. Whenever I saw that, like I was backstage. I laughed at that because, we're talking about later on, we're going to be talking about plasma, magnetism, and all that shit, free energy, the whole deal, right? And yeah, man, it is just the upside down world. It's the astral realm merging with the material realm. We're going to get into it. But man, you were just more on point than you think. But outside, thanks for coming. And yeah, I think I kind of covered everything. Hey, I haven't mentioned it in a while. I feel terrible. Wise Wolf Gold and Silver, go check them out, man. Code 6G. And you can get yourself some gold and silver sent to your house for as little as $50 a month. I highly implore you to do it. Everybody's going to Bitcoin or some kind of stable coin, crypto, whatever. Those CBDC ledgers are there to track you. That is part of the beast system. If you want to get out of that, material gold, things like that, that is what's going to help you out. Obviously, we know that the elites are hoarding all the gold, and they're going to massive, burn. Hold on to it after that, because then it will be worth something. I know that sounds weird and crazy because it's super future, whatever. It's nothing happening now, but eventually, whenever the systems go down, they hoard all the gold. They're going to let it all go. So everybody's gold is going to be worthless. They're going to give it away. And then, so I'm just saying, don't get rid of it. Anyway, so that's futuristic shit. And that's not necessarily going to happen. And that has nothing to do with today's show. But another thing that has nothing to do with today's show, but I think it's very important to talk about, just for a few minutes. You guys need to see this just really quick. Sorry, I didn't actually pull it up because I just thought about it and I meant to pull it up here. This is fucking crazy, guys. Pardon my language. This is insane. You may have seen it, but give me 2 seconds. We are pulling it up now. Okay. All right. You see this? The DOJ, not only does it recommend, I believe they're bringing back the firing squad. Federal executions. The firing squad. I mean, this is crazy, dude. So that's really all I have to say about it. I don't think I need to say anything else. Oh, I know it's death sentence inmates. Da, 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 da. I don't want to hear any of that shit, dude. I don't know, whatever. But that's just what I got to say. We'll get into it more eventually. It's got nothing to do with today, but I think that's interesting. I sound like Gavin Newsom. It's just interesting. It's interesting that you bring up AIPAC. It's interesting you bring up Israel. I never think about that on my day to day. It's just interesting. It's hilarious. Birdman says I'm fired. I'm sorry, man. I need to get my shit together. I read your mind. I saw the show notes. Fuck yeah, Flux. That's what I'm talking about. That's where you were in the show early, dude. I should give you some bonus points for being in here early. That's my dog. Appreciate that. Good evening, Alquim. How we doing? All right, we're gonna ease into this, but people are kind of flowing in, so we'll let them kind of flow in a little bit. I'll probably restart the show. We'll have Justin cut it so it's not boring for the free feed. I mean, the firing squad thing is kind of important. Maybe we will leave it. But welcome to 6G Agenda. We're going to talk about what they won't, as always. And today we're going to talk about something that everybody's talking about, but in a way that nobody does, as we always do. That's why we talk about what they won't. Everybody's talking about the scientists going missing. Everybody's got their theories. I'm impartial to it. I think that this is, to give you a nutshell, I think obviously this is to get the normies, interested in the topic, to be like, oh, there's people. Oh, you hear that, honey? There's people that are dying. These scientists are going missing. They say it's for this free energy, anti-gravitic technology. Oh, man. And they feel smart and they feel, like they're informed and like maybe we're on to something. And then we disclose this New World Order system that's coming in that we've been talking about for a while. And I think this is nothing new. So anyway, let's get it going. Flux, don't worry, man. I'm right there with you. Don't worry, Flux. Say he's going to kill the F out of me. Yeah, I'm right there with you. So, all right. So I've been doing a lot of studying, guys. I've been very, very busy. Very, very, very busy. Working and studying. But I got it done. And I think I'm actually happy with this. This is one of the few times that I'm like, all right, man, I'm liking this. Let me actually get these ready before I sit here and here, hold on a second. Because I want to make sure these are all, oh shit. See, I wonder if it's going to let me open this link. I have these links embedded into my notes, but, oh, search with Bing. But the problem is I embedded them in my notes. And you know how you can embed it into text and then you're supposed to be able to click on the link that is the text and it'll bring you to it? Well, it's not doing that. It's actually just putting in the words that are highlighted, which is pretty dumb. So that's sad. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it here, but it really doesn't matter. I think I read it the other day anyway. So we'll just get into the externalization of the hierarchy. Just know that as we'll talk about this, the Theosophical Society is very much a part of the UN. And we've talked about this already with Ben, but for the people that weren't here and didn't hear it, that is something to know. Okay, let's get into it. Sorry, guys. Slow start. I'm fired. Birdman already did it. I'm going to have to bring him on. Okay, so the externalization of the hierarchy. It's a book from like 1913 written by Alice Bailey. It was published, like all of her works, by Lucis Trust, formerly known as Lucifer Trust. This was started by Alice Bailey herself. It is the publishing company that handles all the UN documents, as well as the Theosophical Society's works, which is the Theosophical Society's essentially co-masonry. There's not much of a difference. Which is very important to know, obviously, because we should look at real quick while we're getting eased into this, the UN's meditation room. I'm sure you've heard about this. People have talked about it, but we're going to lay some context to like why this is odd and important. Now, it seems like nothing, right? It's just a black cube, obelisk, essentially. You've got like crescent half moons, a lot of geometrical triangles, swirly DNA looking staff in the middle, kind of like the Caduceus staff, but not quite. It's very abstract. It's very sun, moon, and stars, earth, and water kind of vibes to it. This is obviously this is probably what they meditate on, right? Then of course you have the perfectly outlined light around the black cube here, almost like an eclipsed moon. So this is, obviously nothing too crazy. It's just a slightly esoteric room that they meditate in at the UN. So that's just interesting. Again, to sound like Gavin Newsom. It's just interesting. And yeah, dude, where the chairs at, Birdman? Good point. You just sit on the floor or what, man? I have no idea. I'm glad you brought up Alquium just brought up Wilcock in the chat. We'll be talking about David Wilcock. It's so funny. That's how I'm going to be merging this together. Don't put it in the chat if I forget to bring him up. But he has a lot to do with the Theosophical Society and the UFO movement, and this is how it converges along with what I'll be laying out from the book here. So very interesting. That's going to be my word of the day. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to the work. So Palantir, we talked about this in the last episode and the one before that, pretty nauseum. Palantir's got a lot to do with this UN philosophical, the philosophies behind it. They keep it hidden pretty well, but you can tell by how they name their companies, like the Palantiri Zone. Anduril, of course, is a company that they put money into, which is the Fires of the West, another Tolkien novel homage. You also have Oracle, which is like seeing into the future. All this is about that. Open AI, right? Like the one big brother, the all-seeing eye. NVIDIA, which means evil eye. And then Samael, like Saturn, Samael, the altar of man, right? Sam Altman. So after going through into Lucid in the digital temple, let's give a background first to the concept here. Let's look at what Alice Bailey had to say 100 years ago, because we're going to go into the digital temple tomorrow with Ben, and this is going to lay some credence to that. So this is exciting. Oddly, though, this book just seems super prophetic to our time. So Alice Bailey, who I talked about earlier, she was Madame Helena Blavatsky. You may have heard about her contemporary. For those who don't know, Blavatsky took all the scattered occult knowledge that was scattered around the world in the Buddhist temples, etc., and she brought them together into something she called the Theosophical Society. Later on, Alice Bailey, as the UN was formed, merged it together, created Lucifer's Trust, and of course, here we are today, Lucis Trust, the whole deal. It's all embedded in our global systems. In Bailey's book, Externalization of the Hierarchy, she starts out by laying some of the details out that she calls the period of transition. So the closing of one age into the inauguration of a new age is what she's kind of laying out here, right? And that's kind of where we're at right now, as we'll see. I've got allergies, God, dude. Anyway, she then explains what is happening and what effects it has in the conditions of our planetary, living beings, right? And what she calls it is atomic. She calls it for all atomic lives on our planet, time is speeding up. And what's interesting about that, to use that word again, science always seems to prove these occult teachings every single time. I mean, just today, Biblical Hitmen on X posted about how the whole world might be living, and scientists are starting to think that. So just to point out something, she says that time is speeding up. There's an article that I saw about it a few years back. Earth is spinning faster than it used to. Clocks might have to change. Is time travel possible? And that's because of Earth spinning faster. But you see that? Days are getting shorter. Earth spinning faster. And so always, whenever I read these occult teachings, I end up finding some article after I read it that's telling me that, it's being proven. And I think that that's just wild to me. Now again, a lot of these occult teachings have universal knowledge and universal principles that are true because their God is the architect of the universe, which is Lucifer, who has bestowed all knowledge of God's creation. And he was meant to give us enlightenment or give us knowledge. And he actually rejected God's duty that he gave him to give us knowledge. If you read the Catholic word, which I know the Catholics, right? Whatever. But this is what they say about Lucifer. They say he was supposed to give us knowledge and he chose not to. Now, why would he do it then? Why are these people worshiping him if he chose not to do it? That's my question. Very, very important question. I think. I kind of want to show you real quick what I just mentioned a minute ago. Stephen from Biblical Hitmen, shout out Stephen. He posted this. I'll go ahead and show you. Another thing that is a Kabbalistic teaching that is being proven by science. Scientists are seriously revisiting the idea that God is the universe itself. This suggests every pebble, atom, and you are divine. The Gnostic world order is coming, Stephen. You're very right about that. Pardon me. Yeah, so as we read this, you're going to see that that's exactly what Alice Bailey espouses, her teachings. So we're right on track with the Theosophical teachings. And that's why I think it's important to cross-reference some of these modern narratives that we're seeing in articles in the New Age world or science world that are proving, just something that some crazy ladies that channeled. By the way, she channeled this book. This book was channeled, okay? So this is the type of people we're dealing with here, just so you know. Let's talk about all the effects during the transitionary period that she speaks about. So the condition of our transitionary period is that the time is speeding up for all the atomic lives on our planet, as I mentioned. This causes a raise in the vibrational resonance. You've heard that, right? Leading to an abnormal sensitivity to psychic awareness. You've seen the Schumann resonance. Everybody's always posting about that in the New Age groups, right? That's not to say it's not real. Again, Lucifer teaches, how the world actually works, and it proves himself right while also leading you astray at the same time. You see? Anyway, so this causes a raise in the vibrational resonance, leading to an abnormal sensitivity to psychic awareness. She claims that this is indicative of the transition of the ages. The new age we are in, that transition right now, that time is a fact. Observably, you can see that in the stars if you believe in all that. So she talks about the ages that we're transitioning from and into. The Piscean age, which is what she calls the time of authority and belief. The truth, Jesus, would be kind of that age. The Aquarian age is the age of individuality. Now, I added that annotation, the truth in Jesus. She didn't say that. I did. These are my notes and my annotations of like what she talked about. But a lot of these are quotes from her book. The Aquarian age of individuality and understanding. That's my truth, your truth. We both have our truths. That's the Luciferian doctrine. She says this is the age of receiving direct knowledge, right? That's the CE5 contact with the aliens, right? With Stephen Greer. So that's what we're looking at, right? So we can cross-reference what she speaks about into our everyday life today. And so I think that is very important to do as we go along because it's everywhere today. So factors include World War I. Intense emotional strain happened during World War I. The entire planetary populace obviously went through a huge emotional strain and everything else. Afterwards, you had the Great Depression in America, all kinds of shit everywhere. Germany, Weimar Germany, the whole deal. This marked the climax and of course, the Bolsheviks. Anyway, this marks the climax in history. The web of the etheric matter she talks about was pierced. Okay, this is important. The web of etheric matter was pierced because of all this emotional strain, which is important because obviously chaos and emotional strain in the world can cause this. And the temple of the veil, as she calls it, was pierced. And obviously people talk about seeing through the veil, right? So again, we're in the new age kind of rhetoric here. And slowly this merger has begun. It's a merger with the physical and the astral world, like we spoke about earlier with Flux. He's on point. Plasma, portals, UFO sightings, Mandela effect. This wrought fast changes into the consciousness of humans. The reaction is that simple people let loose the forces of psychic control. You hear that? The reaction is that people let loose the forces of psychic control. I said simple. Oops. This ushered in the start of the age of illumination, understanding, and brotherhood. So she's saying that, people's the conscious, it's the ascension idea, right? That people talk about. David Wilcock talked about ascension. He said, We're going into ascension like every month, and then it never happened. And he always was like, it's coming next, it's coming next year, I promise. Rest in peace. But I mean, that's a fact. And if you look at, he was very troubled. I mean, whatever, but I won't get into it. The reaction is that people let loose these forces of psychic control. And this ushered in the age of illumination, this new age coming in. It's a slow bringing it in. So right now, I think we're in the end growing pains, right? So let's get to the meat of the matter here. This is where it merges in with the UFO stuff and everything else later. So listen up. Members of a planetary hierarchy are approaching. This planetary hierarchy. Demiurge, fallen angels, astrology. She labels Jesus as a member because they don't believe he's a god, but rather he's an ascended master, as I've spoken about on this show. They will soon appear among men, saying that she said that the mystics have known this for a long time, and that they're slowly trying to get us ready. And the forces the hierarchy bring will be destructive and constructive. Shiva, outside of CERN, right? Those responsive to these new age forces will change man for good or bad. A lot will perish, yet the rest will arise better and more enlightened and developed, more like gods, right? More like the early man, as she says, which is important. It's bringing back the days of Atlantis, as we talk about all the time. This just proves everything that we speak about very often. It's exciting. I get excited about it. I'm gonna turn off this light here. It's too much. Okay, that's kind of perfect. All right. Yeah, it's a little better. Anyway, it's too much. I almost want to wear sunglasses, but I feel like a douche, Anyways, they will soon appear among men is the important part here. But remember, as we're talking about the good and bad aspects of this and how some men will, rise and other men will fall, we're going to go in depth on that kind of aspect to this because that's very important here. Death and rebirth is a huge part of the occultist minds, as we know. The phoenix rising from the ashes. They call themselves the initiates of the flame or the philosophers of fire for a reason. This is why I always say that they venerate fire over all the elements, aside from ether, of course, but some call that, the primordial fire is what Prometheus is brought down to us. So technically, the primordial fire is what lies in our blood, in our soul. That's what you sacrifice for to give back to the gods. You're not supposed to drink blood. That's only for the gods. This is like very real shit when it comes to the occult groups. So fire is important. And I always say when you alchemicalize fire, it becomes electricity, right? And that's important as well with the electromagnetic grid that we're speaking of, and electricity and how it interacts with plasma. So this planetary hierarchy is very much why we have this ancient alien and Anunnaki stories getting very much shoved in our face. You seeing where this is going with this planetary hierarchy? So she says that it can all, for some, notice the language, be divinely beneficent for some. The masters of wisdom, as she calls them, will attune with the minds of the disciples and initiates. That's why she says for them. It's only for the disciples and initiates. They get to synchronize their minds with these gods. AI, singularity, right? So this leads to ascension, like the ufologists and the New Agers claim that the aliens will do when they come. These whatever you want to call them, they'll concede that they're interdimensionals if that means you'll believe that they're aliens, right? They'll concede whatever you want as long as you just believe in whatever this is, and as long as they can sell it to you as a good thing or an ultimately super bad thing, because eventually it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so ufologists, of course, have pushed this for a while. So you and I can't talk about portals or the missing scientists. I'm sorry. So you see, I can't talk about portals or the missing scientists and what they worked on without first giving you context to what I think all of this really is. Once you see it through this lens, you can unfold the narratives that lay bare. For instance, David Wilcock just died, a ufology guy who was on Ancient Aliens. always said ascension was coming every few months and never was right, was allegedly, according to him, a reincarnation of Edward Casey, a theosophist, a person who was a part of Alice Bailey's cult. And of course, that's how it leads right into this. Joe Rogan mentions that for the next evolution of our society, this is maybe important that we're going through this crazy, chaotic upheaval that Trump's putting on us and all these different things. He's put out those narratives. Well, as you'll see, he sounds just like Alice Bailey, where she says that the sacrifices that are coming will be necessary. So all of this death, destruction, and upheaval are just growing pains. These people are psychopaths, obviously. I wish I could find that clip. I don't think anybody clipped that out of his episode, but I listened to it recently, and he's like, maybe it's something we need. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe we're supposed to go through this so we can, because he thinks that the aliens are us from the future. So he thinks that we have to go through this to become that, which is exactly what they espouse in the Theosophical Society. So, man, what do you guys think about that so far? A lot that I laid on you here. What do you think? We got a lot going on. Tetherball goes around the pole much faster. We're the neurons of his brain. Thank you all for your efforts and can't stay. Oh, no worries, Lattice. Shout out Lattice. The Lucis Trust achieved observer status at the United Nations and has influenced international discourse through its World Goodwill initiatives. Thank you for that, Lattice. Yeah, dude. That's a fact. The Watcher cult is wild. It really makes you think about Joe Rogan in retrospect with his ancient alien stuff. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm totally flat. Like, I'm everything I like believed in, or whatever you want to say, like not believed in, but everything I thought that I was understanding has been flipped on it. It's very crazy. But now I feel like I'm getting a real understanding. So it's not a false knowledge. It's not that Luciferian doctrine that people are getting that feels good when you get it. It feels like, oh my God, it's almost like a drug. I'm getting excited from all this new knowledge I'm getting, but it really takes you nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It really does. It takes you nowhere. So as I said before, let's talk about this. When the masters come, it will have a dual effect. Like Shiva, outside of CERN, it will be both a creator and a destroyer force upon humanity. And now we see why CERN had the goat of Mendez and the whole deal as they were doing the opening ceremony on their, on the, what was it, like coming out of the cave or out of the mountain or whatever. It's crazy. Like that's supposed to be like Mount Hermon where the fallen like went or whatever. So very, very much esoteric. We've went over this many times on here about Angels and Demons, the book, the movie. It has the CERN scientist who dies in the beginning. And then later, Opus Dei, Occult for Catholicism. Dude, people kill me. So let me just say this. My grandma was a nun for a little bit, obviously not forever because, I'm alive. But she, she'd be rolling in her grave if she heard how I say Catholicism instead of Catholicism. She would literally kill me. And now I keep hearing myself because actually recently, my dad, he didn't listen to my show or anything, but I was speaking to him about something. And I did that. And he was like, oh my God, it killed his ears, he said, because I said Catholicism. And he was like, dude, do not do that. And he's not even like a Catholic. It's just that he grew up in like a boys' home and my grandma was a nun. So she was, obviously Catholic. And so I got to do better. Point being, the whole Catholicism. Yeah, that's Opus Dei cult was in that book and movie. And yeah, it's pretty fucked up because Peter Thiel literally had a guy who was in Opus Dei who was like his mentor for a while. So that's very important whenever we're talking about this because, he's always talking about like eschatology and like, the Antichrist and things like, resurrecting the dead, which I think is interesting because that goes back into like Revelation where they talk about resurrecting the dead. This guy is like obsessed with eschatology. Isn't that crazy? It's Saturday night. I'm rolling up. All right, so let's get to it. So the transhumanist movement is all a part of this whole, Gnostic, AI, ancient alien movement as well. Of course, we know this. Because the singularity, AI shit, it all has something to do with it. So anyway, she says that it can be seen like Manly P. Hall lays out in his book. We went over it in our astrology episode. All planetary bodies send out archetypical energies from them, and they act upon everything on our world. This electromagnetic field, plasma, whatever you want to call it, it acts on us without us really being able to tell. EMF waves, things like that, are obviously very comparable to this same thing. If you know, same thing with the nuclear radiation that comes from the sun, it's all the same. Point being, this type of force, the new age, is leading to a new type of force coming from these planetary bodies, and they're manifesting new knowledge. And as I mentioned, this tech like AI, etc., shows this. Everything, all this stuff, you know how people talk about? Let's dwell on that for a minute. Let's think that. People always talk about like the boom of technology. If you consider when she wrote this book, Alice Bailey wrote this book in 1913, right? So if you consider after that, when did we start the whole technological revolution? It was like immediately, right? You had the light bulb come out right after. You had the progression of, motors, all the whole deal. And so eventually, here we are. You've got cell phones, everything. And this is within 100 years. And if you look back before that, you have essentially the same thing. Now, Joe Rogan has spoken a lot about this. Now, again, Joe Rogan knows why that's the case. He's pointing to it because he knows we're transitioning into a new age of knowledge. Now that we have the context, we can understand what they're doing. They're moving the Overton window a little bit over. Isn't that interesting? I keep saying that. I'm driving myself nuts. I'm going to have Justin cut it out. I won't say it again. Swear to God. All right. I won't swear to God again. With this also comes the spread of disease, insanity, neurotic conditions. This is important. So this transitionary period she's talking about brings a spread of disease, insanity, neurotic conditions, mental imbalance. And this is all a sign of the results from this planetary web or veil being torn. It is a part of the evolutionary plan, she says, for humanity to take its next step, as Joe Rogan pointed out in his show recently. It's exactly verbatim what he said. And I found it exactly verbatim in her book. This is all due to an overstimulation, as she puts it, from these energies or new forces that are upon us from these planetary hierarchy or planetary bodies, which we know are the Demiurgos, which represent the planets because, as I've read in my other studies, they think that when you have something very powerful that is spiritually powerful, like a god or a little g god, or entities like, say, like even little elementals like gnomes and stuff, then you'll have trees and whatever. So they believe that these things manifest in our physical reality in their own way. That's literally what they think. And so these planets are physical bodies that represent these spiritual bodies that are in the other realm. And so that's why they think that these planets literally have an effect on us when it comes to the spiritual realm. So this veil being torn open means that we're becoming more and more in contact with them. That's why we talk about contact when it comes to the alien talk and situation. So she says it may all seem unfair that so many may die because we are unready or ignorant. The people that will die will be unready or ignorant. And she says, let me remind you, this is but one life of many of the existence of the soul. Those who fail, nevertheless, will be stepped up, even if their physical body is destroyed. She says that these energies are leading to the evolution and devolution of others. The same force is leading to a lower psychism and some to a higher psychism. That's important because that talks now, we're talking about eugenics. Now we're talking about like animal versus, God mind. Now when you look at the post that Stephen from Biblical Hitmen posted, when you look at that logic and you follow it all the way through where they say everything is God, including a pebble, and then you look at this logic where it says everything is God, everything's got God in it, but there's a higher psyche and a lower psychism, which is how they then differentiate you from an animal, a rock, and them from a God, right? That's how they do that. So beware of this kind of philosophy, because when you really look at it, It's their way of like getting you into this. It's just like the Kabbalah. They believe that there was divine energy and divine sparks that were put into everybody, but only some of them were real divine. The rest were chaotic. And that's what they're speaking of here. So beware. Science and the occult are the same, just different terminology, as I mentioned. Eugenicists, survival of the fittest. Only the new man can enter the new age. Like Joe Rogan says, and like Bill Cooper said before, people will be slaughtered if they don't go with the new age. Or, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that in one sentence. Like Joe Rogan said, maybe we have to go through this, sacrifice to get through. Well, Bill Cooper said that people will be slaughtered in order to go through the new age. And so develop and accept the new indoctrination that masks at itself as a spiritual development. And that's really what they want you to do. And Joe Rogan's not saying that we have to accept sacrifices. Let me be clear. I'm saying that he's saying that maybe all these things are meant to happen, which technically is saying we need to sacrifice people. I mean, in a weird way, it was because we're talking about people dying and going crazy and stuff, but also people dying in the devolution of all society. But also with that, people die. So just saying. There will be what she calls a second initiation, leading to a flood of light into the world that will go on for 30 years, which is a metaphor that will lead to immortality and a new revelation of divine potencies within the human being. Thus, the new age is dawning. That was a quote from her book. So stimulation of the higher faculties are now possible. The race is to the strong, and many are called, but the few are chosen. So again, we're talking about how she's saying your physical body will be destroyed. I know it's sad that people have to die, but it's no big deal because they're going to live again. So it's okay. Reincarnation, the whole thing. And then she goes, many are called, but few are chosen. What does that say to you? That says that few are going to not die. I mean, anyway, that's just really heavy. You know what I mean? To me, I don't know. So those ambitious, unready, unwary, ignorant, and those who selfishly seek the way, not guiding the path with true motive, will perish, is what she says immediately after that. And the greater can include the lesser, but the lesser will never be able to include the greater. Again, that's that testament to like, you're an animal, like lower psyche. You can never achieve greatness or be God like me. That is how you lead to the calling of humanity. So this is where the mind virus comes in with this hive mind mentality that's coming. All this starts to make sense whenever you go back 100 years and read this lady's book. So some will be destroyed not going into the new age. So thus some will be destroyed going into the new age. But don't worry, it's not the worst disaster that can overcome a man. And you'll achieve higher attainment and death after anyway. So they're actually doing us a favor by taking us out. Essentially is what she's saying. And now after she's taken care of the fact that, like, yeah, people have to die, she goes into, let's talk about all the stuff that you guys are going to be able to do when this merging comes with this planetary hierarchy. All these godlike aspects we're going to be able to achieve. So she starts selling dreams, essentially, of what people will be able to attain, like clairvoyance, telepathy, and clairopathy. But only to later say, and this is how you know she's a bullshitter, that it doesn't uniformly develop and that some will have more abilities than others. Digitally, of course, they're going to make it to where only the elite get it, and, but I'm talking on pure psychic levels. This is bullshit. And so essentially bullshit, like I said. We know that the new age stuff, yeah. At the top, it's about controlling the ones who were destined to be controlled, and in their minds, they're supposed to do that because they are superior to the others. It gets back to people that don't use their own reasoning are beasts of burden that are led to slaughter by their own choosing. That is a quote, direct quote. And I've quoted it so many times, I'll always remember it because that's what they believe. And remember, you're the beast of burden because you don't reason. And by that, you just aren't initiated into their little club. That's really all that means. So then you must be one of the masses, part of the mob, people that can't think. Give you guys a breather here. So early on, initiates knew there were two types of people. Aspirants and sensitives is what she calls them. It's the adepts and the profane. Again, it's many names for the same thing. The awakened seeker after the control and mastery of the lower type of psychic become the mastered and the controller. So again, she says there's two types of people who are meant to be controlled and people who are meant to be the controllers. She literally says that right after this. I didn't even have to tell you what my thoughts were because she proves it right after. So the higher psychic, lower psychic, master and controller, or mastered and controlled, initiates are the only ones of higher mind. So of course, you have no soul if you're not initiated, essentially. I mean, you have the divine spark of God, but that's it. You're an animal. So higher psychism is divine control. So she gives a little diagram in her book. I should give a little context. And it's like higher psychism, and on the left is like lower psychism. And it goes divine, and lower psychism says animal. Controlled, lower psychism says uncontrolled. Higher psychism says positive, lower says negative. Intelligently applied is higher, and lower psychism says automatic or reactionary. And of course, the important one, higher psychism is the mediator, the one who controls, or the medium, the one who has it come through them, right? The middleman. This is fucking crazy. It's really what these people think of other people. I mean, it's wild. So remember an episode where I laid out that the Masons believe that there are people who can keep their cool minds in a situation, and then there's people who get overwhelmed? That's what she's alluding to here. It's the adept and profane. It's people who can maintain their faculties and apply reasoning and logic while also like maintaining their emotions. And they call that like a perfect balance of the left and right, the emotion and the logic. It sounds fine until you start getting deeper into it and you realize, oh, this gets deeper. You're saying like, oh yeah, people that can't control that, they're just animals. And look no further than the Bene Gesserit, whenever they put what's his name, his hand into the thing on Dune. Remember the movie Dune? And they had him put his hand into the thing, and she said, animals, when they're trapped in a cage, they'll, go crazy or whatever. What will you do? Right? You're supposed to overcome the reactionary instinct in you and overcome your animal instinct. Guys, it's everywhere. These teachings are everywhere. And I don't necessarily agree with all of them, but I don't agree that how far they take it. Definitely no. So back to the hierarchy. They're coming closer. Well, let me check in on you guys because I put a lot on you, dude. Jeezy, what up? Wow. Hey, B-Dale made it. Awesome. What? Welcome. How we all doing? Goddard Tunnel. Yep, that's where they did the CERN thing. All roads lead to Rome. That's right. The Empire ended. Philip K. Dick. Never ended. Philip K. Dick. Thank you, Birdman. B-Dale. They never give you the notification. These bastards. Hey, B-Dale, I have to say, you have the best comments ever. I mean, you really do. I almost wanted to read your comments that you were putting out on here because they were just so good. I mean, legitimately, I would have you here just a co-host. You're just amazing. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go look at B-Dale 8102's comments on, our recent episodes. Give her a sub. Why not? Who cares if she's posted video? Give her a sub, dude, because she's worth reading. Her comments. She's amazing. Anyway, Netfunner, what up, man? How you doing? Yeah, it was 9 a.m. and I changed it to 7 p.m. I apologize. I got my son this weekend. My wife's out of town, so I'm a little busy. What's up, Jeezy? And Jack, how we doing? Yes, sir. We are live, Jack, and we're gonna fucking keep going, dude. We're chilling. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so hopefully you guys like what you're hearing so far. I hope you didn't get in too late, and I hope you heard some of this externalization of the hierarchy and what's going on, because we're going to get into, of course, the scientists later, as I said, and it's going to get fucking wild. But we have to lay out some context here, and this is, I think, the perfect way to do it. So, back to the hierarchy. They're coming closer to the physical plane, as I stated, and the initiates embody them. Remember when I said that they are going to synchronize their minds with these demigods or demiurge or whatever the fuck you want to call them, this hierarchy? Well, this is that God King concept from Atlantis, right? This Atlantean age. And so tech could be a gateway, as we discussed a lot on here. The occultists like John Dee's magical concepts seem to have crossed over with characters like Gordy Rose from D-Wave, of course. The alien altar guy, remember him? Should I bring that up? Maybe I'll bring it up. Why not? I'm sure you guys have seen it. I mean, if you listen to this show, you've seen Gordy Rose say that. Gordy Rose, alien altar. But that's important, you know. We should pull that up. Because magic seems to be mixing in with this this whole deal. Yep, here we go. Alien God is what he calls it. Yeah, alien God. He literally tells you what it is. They're the same. They're interchangeable. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so hopefully you guys can hear it. Oh, shit. See how this goes.
That's why there is no diabetes in Israel.
What the fuck? Oh, my God. See, this is why I don't have a Rumble. Because they pay in Bitcoin only, and I don't fuck with that. And because, what the hell? There's pop-ups on there? That's crazy. Whoa, what is this? What is this? What are we talking about here? What the fuck? Where did this come from? Have you guys seen this? Dude, if you guys are just listening, this must have just been made. This must be new or something. This isn't old. This is like literally the black alien from the Alien movie doing this lady. Okay. We found a video that we could actually play on Twitter or X, whatever. Elon Musk's Israel platform. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. We're all good. Okay.
From the outside, they look like giant black monoliths, big metal boxes.
Giant black monoliths. He starts it off great. Make sure, you know, can you guys hear this good? I've messed up so many times on here. I don't even want to continue until I know. Are you guys good? Yeah, we could hear it. We're all good. We're going to fucking just keep it going. We're good.
About 10 feet on a side, 12 feet tall. And they are powered, they have a fridge inside them, a refrigerator that cools these chips to almost absolute zero. Just a wisp, a fraction of a degree above absolute zero. Hundreds of times colder than interstellar space. Amongst the coldest and most isolated and extreme conditions that humans have ever been able to engineer. These fridges, interestingly enough, which are called pulse tube dilution refrigerators, have a thing called a pulse tube, which emits a...
Well, I apologize. We're going to listen to the whole thing, I guess, just so we could get to one snippet. But you know what? Let's listen to this crazy fucking device that he's talking about. This pulse tube. It's supposed to be like a computer, but he's talking about... It sounds like some kind of vessel, right? So let's talk about it. Let's listen to it.
Sound roughly once per second, which sounds eerily like a heartbeat. So if you have the opportunity to stand next to one of these machines, it is an awe-inspiring thing, at least for me. It feels like an altar to an alien god. They really are impressive machines. At the heart of this big box is a tiny chip about the size of your thumbnail. And on this chip resides all of the wonder and magic that makes this thing go. I'm not going to
Man, that is John Dee's witchcraft, magic, sigils, the whole thing. That is hardwired mysticism you're seeing right there. And for people that are just listening, it's just a chip. But that's all you got in. That's all, you know, he said it's got all the wonder right in there. So as I was saying, you know, John D and everything very much crosses over with these new tech guys, you know. Elon Musk, we're summoning the demon, he says. You know, and let me go to this one. Sam Altman, as I mentioned earlier, Samael, which represents Saturn, the altar of man, wants to put his brain into a computer system, which would literally kill him, kill his physical body. But that doesn't matter, right? Because this is just one life in the existence of the soul, as Alice Bailey said. So it's no big deal. Let's look at this, though. Sam Altman, brain in a computer, essentially. So he wants to do the whole singularity thing. Sam Altman, wait a minute. I know that this came out because I saw this like 10 times recently. Sam Altman, under his employee who is blowing the whistle. What the fuck? Maybe I'm not wording this right. Is it not a computer he wants to put it in? What is it that he wants to put himself in? Oh man, I wish I would have saved this. In a machine? I don't know. We'll fucking go for that. Sam Altman builds portals to summon aliens. I mean, I saved this and I was going to talk this. Let's just go ahead and look at this now. Let's go ahead and turn this on now, because this merges everything that I've been talking about.
Sam Altman.
One of the things that is always unfair in this comparison is people talk about how much energy it takes to train an AI model relative to how much it costs a human to do one inference query. But it also takes a lot of energy to train a human. It takes like 20 years of life and all of the food you eat during that time before you get smart. And not only that, it took like the very widespread evolution of the 100 billion people that have ever lived and learned not to get eaten by predators and learned how to like figure out science and whatever to produce you. And then you took whatever you.
So here's what's going on. I don't want to scare anyone. These people all believe that they are communicating with some ancient Sumerian deity. I know this I have kind of sources on this. They believe they really do. They believe they are communicating with.
Do you guys believe that Tim Dillon's being honest when he says, I have sources on this? They really do. They really do believe that they're summoning Sumerian demons into this technology. I mean, that's what we're talking about here, guys. So I just want to interject there. Interesting.
Super intelligence. And they do believe, and he just said it out loud, by the way. He literally just said, he was like, the 100 million years of evolution, all of the 20 years of life, they have all led to this point. And this point is when we are going to give birth, as I've said on the show before, because this is their main goal, to the AI demon. They want to give birth to the AI demon, the super intelligent AI, who is then going to run the planet and decide who stays, who goes, who.
I don't think it's as simple as just one entity in there. I think it's a system maybe, but really it's a system of control. And it's a system of control that's built by people who summoned these entities to create the system of control. It doesn't mean that this demon has to literally embody itself in the vessel. I was kind of joking about the vessel aspect, but maybe. But I don't think that that's necessary. It's more of a system of control that's connected together that they, of course, by proxy, it is controlled by demons, right? So, I mean, essentially, yeah. But, Tim Dillon's very much, I mean, he's talking about 6G agenda content on his show. I mean, what do we, this is crazy, and I love, he's very funny. I love his show. I used to watch him all the time. He was the only Patreon I ever really got before. I think Ben and I talked about that because he's just so funny.
Who's necessary, who's not. They're pretty open about this. This is the thing about all of the AI people, all of the tech people. They really are, they really are pretty transparent when it comes to what they want to do and what they need to do in their minds, because they go, if China gets to it first, if China unleashes the AI demon before we unleash our AI demon, our American AI demon, West values America, rah, AI demon, and China enslaves their population with their demon, they will sell the world their demon, and then that demon will enslave the world, and then they'll make all the money, and they'll have all the...
So again, it's who's going to run the new world order. That's all he's describing. Very fun, but that's all it is. He's not 100% wrong there. I don't think it's that literal, but yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, 100%. Love to done. Who knows about that guy, but definitely has been talking about some of the things that people didn't talk about before anybody talks about it. And he's another guy that talks about what they won't, right? But he's also got insiders, and he's allowed to. Not to say he's controlled, but he's allowed to, for whatever reason. I'm not gonna speculate. So anyway, point being, we're going to be talking about the third temple tomorrow with Ben, and what I'm leading up to with all this content right here, yesterday, the day before, like the whole thing, is that all this is kind of telling one story, and it's really massive, and it's a lot of research that I've kind of congested into a few things. So I'll probably talk about all of it a lot more in parsnip, or piecemeal, however you say that. Point being, this next video I'm going to show you talks about, again, proving a lot of this connection with this technology, portals, aliens, demons, the whole thing. And Sam Altman, as we were just talking about.
This kind of AI capacity is shaping the balance of power between nations and all of our security. One former OpenAI executive said, quote, "We're building portals from which we're genuinely summoning aliens. The portals currently exist in the United States and China, and Sam has added one in the Middle East. It's just like wildly important to get how scary that should be." This kind of AI capacity is shaping the balance.
So there you go. I mean, we're seeing it over and over again. That's my point. Over and over again. Damn, Jeezy. You said it, not me, gang. Damn, gang. Just like that. Well, you know, he's definitely takes all kinds of cocks, but I don't know about that kind, you know, possibly. I don't know. I won't speculate. If you ask the paid shill, Milo Yiannopoulos, as we talked about yesterday, Milo Yiannopoulos fucking paid shill with the 4chan shit, Peter Thiel and everything. If you ask him, demons are what makes you gay, right? So maybe you're right. Maybe Tim Dillon has had that happen. So that's hilarious. You know, B Dale. Now we have the chip with the organic human DNA in it. Yeah, exactly. And that's what they're working on, right? And then you add the quantum aspect. If that is really something that taps into your soul, now you're selling your soul on a literal level, aren't you? Aren't you, B Dale? I know you fucking get it. Human cells combined with a computer chip. Exactly. Jeezy, that's the thing. This guy's a paid shill that's also telling the truth. That's the funny part about it. I think he's got some allegedly, possibly child rape, whatever, molest, who knows, going on in his background that got him a little controlled from what I heard and read. Aren't they working on computers with brain material in them? Yes, we talked about that. They got brain cells that lived in a petri dish that fed on human nutrients. So the stuff that's in your body, it feeds on it. Sounds like it could feed on humans. And they taught it to play Doom. Should I show you that? Fuck it, I'll show you that too. Why not? And then we'll get back to what we're doing here. Doom. Well, this is a part of what we're doing here. But either way. Okay. Let's get to this. I'll show you what. Yeah, because you're exactly right, dude. They did just do this. Let's check it out. God, dude, what the hell? Okay, can brain cells really play Doom? Okay, dude, it gets buried on here. Jesus, here we go. Here we go. So, a petri dish of human cells grown on a microchip. On a microchip. Good job, B. Dale. God, dude, you were good. On a microchip has learned to play Doom. Cortical Labs put 200,000 real human brain cells into a silicon chip and trained them to play Doom in just 1 week. This was on April 19th that they posted that, but it came out a little before then, I believe. Man, oh man. So it's here, you know, and it's funny because I remember a few years back, I was listening to somebody and he played a video and he literally said that as long as the brain doesn't feed on like human tissue and everything, it's okay. And now we are seeing that there is something that's feeding on essentially human nutrients. So it's the same thing. So I don't know, man. It's a weird place that we're looking at here. I just feel crazy even talk about some of that shit. But anyway. Hey, hold on. Let me get back up in the chat. B-Dale said she'll hop on, dude. Hey, let's do it, man. Get you a mic. I'm super down. 6gagendapod@gmail. Hit me up. We will make something happen. I'm always down. That's part of the show. It was making a community, engaging with people, bringing in their research if they're also researchers or what their opinion is. The whole thing. Like, you know, back in the day, broadcasters would do like call-in shows. I'm super about doing call-in shows. I don't really know how to set that up here, but I would love to figure that out. I'm sure I can. If you guys are about that, I would love to do that. Fuck, I would switch this over to a call-in show at the end of this. Anyway, so yeah, I'm down. I'll go back to the chat later. There's a lot going on in here. You guys enjoy. B-Dale, last thing here. No tech goes through research and development without some kind of pagan ritual. Of course they won't admit it, but it's fucking true. We know it. Absolutely. Open weather warfare in Iran, evil brain robots, demon portal, wild stuff. I know, Flux. It sounds like we're talking about just crazy land that's not real at all. And sometimes I even hear myself and I'm like, what the hell am I talking about, dude? But there's just too much evidence otherwise. You want to be in disbelief, but it's real, man. I mean, a lot of it's real. So a lot of it's real. And so Sam Altman, the altar of man, as I keep saying, wants to put his brain or something in a computer, his consciousness, rendering his body physically dead. And he literally wants to alter man by editing babies. His husband and him have a company where they want to edit babies. Did you guys see that? Let's see this. He's living up to his name. I can say that, He's definitely a man who knows how to live up to his name. And I think that, you could say a lot about somebody who could do that. You know what I mean? But on the real, though, what does two gay guys have any interest in editing babies for? I really want to know why they're interested in that field. An atheist Jew gay man wants to edit babies, and he doesn't mind plugging his brain into a computer. I mean, who is this guy? Talking to aliens through portals? I mean, he wants to put your eye, have you look into an orb, give you money called a world coin. Come on, man. This guy's crazy. Yeah. His Chat GPT logo is literally Saturn in chains. They want to take the Demiurge and encapsulate its power inside of this technology, essentially, is what I think. Whenever you look at ChatGPT, it kind of lays that out in the logo. Everybody likes to point out that the logo makes the Jewish star, or Star of David. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But how about the fact that when you look at it, these are chain links around a black cube? Come on, guys. They want to chain the power of these gods. That's what I think. You can see it right in their logo. So people like to talk about, oh, look at the Star of David. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I'm smoking a doob. Let's go. You already know it. Is that even legal in Australia? I'm sure they let you have weed, don't they? They don't let you have freedom of speech, but you can smoke weed and get fucking stupid all day. That's what they're leading to here in America. So I'm right there with you, dumbing myself down as I read every day. I mean, you know what, dude? I flower. Yeah, it is just flower. I read every day, dude. So I feel like it counterbalances some of this. And my mind just constantly. I'm a thinker. So anyway, as I get off on a tangent, as always, I digress. All right. So the intent, she says, for these this planetary hierarchy coming to Earth and contacting with man, synchronizing with the initiates and becoming one, the astral and the material realm are merging. This is what Alice Bailey says. And she says the intent is to help humanity, the watchers, the elder brothers, what she calls the watchful elder brothers, or the hierarchy. It's funny that she says watchful, like the watchers. And planetary hierarchy really shows, it lays bare what they're talking about too, with the whole astrology being the demigod, demiurge, whatever. So a point of contact is imminent, she says. After that, a new world order can be reborn. The golden age, as Trump calls it, can come back, because she says man can be as he was before. This is the old days, the days of Noah. So the one who posted a photo as a magician, Trump, they say it was Jesus. They say he says he was a doctor. I think it was neither. I think that it was 100% the magician tarot card. And it's funny because Trump, his last name, I'm lagging a little bit. Hopefully it's coming through good for you guys. Go ahead and comment if it's not. But Trump's last name literally applies to like the tarot. The Trump cards are the major arcana or the demiurge arcana. And so it's literally the same thing, right? Tarot, you have the Trump cards. That's the planetary hierarchy. That's who we're talking about, the watchers. And so his middle name, his father's middle name was Christ. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm sorry if I'm repeating information if you heard this yesterday. But Fred Trump, I blew Ben's mind the other day with this, okay? So watch this, dude. All right, I'm not lagging for you. Good. So let's look at Fred Trump. Fred Trump Fred Christ Trump is Trump's dad's name. Isn't that crazy? So then when we're talking about the fact that this guy, this magician, he was born 3 months after the Babylon workings on a blood moon eclipse. His last name is Trump. His dad's name is Christ in the middle. It's just weird, man. So anyway, he posts himself as a magician. He's got the tarot cards with the Trump cards. It's all very esoteric. Trump doesn't come off as somebody that thinks that way, but he acts like somebody that does. So anyway, those tarot cards represent the archetypes, the same planetary archetypes as we're talking about here. So he's the embodiment of the Antichrist. He may not be the Antichrist, whatever, but he's definitely, yeah, he embodies it. Ushering in a new age for Lucifer. So she says that we can be brought back to the conditions of the earlier days, as I mentioned, in a good way, like the days of Noah and Atlantis. This gets into the third temple and the possible digital temple aspect to it. It contains the sacrifice that's coming, right? She says the sacrifice is necessary to get this new age. So here we are. That's how we get to the UFO scientists, nuclear scientists, whatever we want to call them today. That's how we get to that topic. Here we are. Do you guys think this has anything to do with the alien situation today? Do you guys think this is the full embodiment of the New Age movement, the UFO movement? MAGA at this point. At this point, in a weird way, it's MAGA too. So that's where we are. And so with that being said, before we enter into that topic, I just want to mention one more thing. Alice Bailey talks about somebody called Sanat Kumura. It is the bringer of the ages. So obviously that's very important because we're talking about a new age. He's the bringer of the ages, the bestower of intelligence, the controller of the plasma that surrounds us, the electromagnetic grid system, Ahriman, Satan, Lucifer, Sanat, Satan, Kumara. He comes from the Pleiadian star system, 7 sisters, the Hermetic 7 laws, the 7 days of the week. This is why we see 7 used so much. It is believed by the Theosophists that we are the 8th star in the star system of the Pleiades, and they are our celestial brothers. Hence, the great white brotherhood was made and consists of him and the ascended masters, according to Alice Bailey. And the teachers of the earth are the great white brotherhood that he made. And in their belief, the souls incarnate to achieve self-knowledge of divinity, just like the Gnostics teach. And so let's look at Sanat Kumura real quick. Kumara. Let's look at him and learn a little about him, okay? So let's look at what he literally looks like. So this is the, it's this like old school, like this is the old school kind of look, right? All white, blonde hair, blue eyes. Very much like Hitler, the whole thing, right? So you've even got a little bit of this going on with the Hindu religions, of course. They've got their own version. And of course, he's, Hindu, but it is very much the same thing. Ascended master. So now let's go to Google here. Because, of course, that's what you have to go to get a decent preview of something. Sanat Kumara. Let's look at this here. Am I sharing? Yeah. Okay. Come on, dude. Oh, yeah. Plasma. Fuck. Electro. Because I looked into this and it had this whole thing on electromagnetic sphere that is our world and how he controls it. 7 angels of the stars will be found with one single flaw of their respective body. So let's see. That's that I find it on here like I could on my phone. Anyway. All right. So let's go to this then. Let's look at this Theosophy website and see what they have to say. The 7 Kumaras. The subject of the 7 Kumaras is one which was subjected to quite serious distortions in later versions of Theosophy. Okay. Sacred science, secret doctrine, timeless wisdom, religion of the brotherhood of masters. Let's go on. So it talks about the Kamaras. Several of the quotes do not refer to the Kamaras by name, but if the compilation is taken as a whole, it will be seen that they are nonetheless referring to the Kamaras, or at least shedding light on some of the other quotes that have been included. So what are we talking about? Here's a quote from Helena Blavatsky. In the Talmud, Michael, the prince of water and the chief of seven spirits, for the same reason that his prototype, among many others, Sanat Sujata, the chief of the Kamaras, is called waters, according to the commentary Vishnu Purana. Okay, here. So now we understand why they worship this like god of the waters, right? So it is on the hierarchies and the correct numbers of the beings invisible to us, except upon very rare occasions that the mystery of the whole universe is built. The Kamaras, for instance, are called the four, though in reality 7 in number, because Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat, I don't even like saying these words. They all spring from the four-old mystery. So these are just like, I mean, it's not really going to lay it out. So the 7 spirits have to be the 7. They say the 7 stars, the Pleiades. It used to be 7 planets. So very much wild. Now, I did have this whole thing on the electromagnetic field in this dude, Sanat Kumara, but I cannot find it with this. Maybe it's the whole. Anyway, he controls all that shit. I had it looked up the other day. My apologies, but very wild, dude. So now that we've talked about that, and we know that this guy like has a lot to do with the plasma, whatever, I really want to bring that up because I hate that I couldn't find that, but I will. Let's get into the scientists that have been going missing. There is so much talk about these scientists. There is so much stuff going on. Well, wouldn't you know it, that right when everybody's talking about all these scientists, all this crazy plasma technology, free energy, you have yesterday or today, you have a lot of new science coming out about plasma. Now, if I was to be a crazy conspiracy theorist, not to say this is the truth, but if I was to put out conjecture, which I don't usually put out conjecture, I try to keep some semblance of something. But anyway, could it be that they want to put out some stuff about plasma, some stuff about energy, but they don't want these people that have been studying it and working on it to be around, tying up loose ends to keep them from talking about it? And then also that serves a purpose too, to get people to pay attention so they could sell you on this alien bullshit story that they're going to pull out later. I think it serves 2 purposes at once, kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. They really are killing people because they're hiding something, but what they're going to tell you they're hiding is not what they're really hiding. Do you understand? They are killing people because they're hiding something, but what they are hiding is not what they're going to tell you. Okay. Sorry. I always hold 2 things in my head at once, and sometimes it's hard to like say it and make it make sense. So today, 2 days ago, April 22nd, efficiency optimized relativistic plasma harmonics for extreme fields. So I don't know what the fuck that means, but extreme harmonic fields is kind of, something. And look at this picture. I mean, it could be a digital rendition. It could be bullshit. You know, scientists like to put out photos of crazy stuff to keep getting funded so they could keep their labs open. But it is fun to be like, well, is there some plasma technology that they're starting to release or come out with that could lead to why we're seeing portals everywhere and all this stuff that they're saying are UFOs could really be this control of this? I almost swallowed weed. So these new identified laws reveal hidden order within the chaos. They show how certain plasma instabilities evolve and how energy is transferred between scales. Oh yeah, this sounds a lot like why they killed these people. Charged particles in ways that are not fully understood before. Most importantly, the AI's equations are simple enough for humans to interpret and use, so AI is helping them solve plasma technology. Are you guys seeing this? Are you guys seeing this? Are you hearing this from anybody else? Is anybody else telling you about this? No, they're talking about these fucking scientists, which we are going to talk about. But this is crazy. So now, just to give a little bit more credence, I don't love this Ashton Forbes guy. I don't really agree with a lot of the stuff he says. But he, for a long time, has said that there's a plasma technology that MH370, the Malaysia airline that went down years ago, we all know, we saw the video. Let's look at it. Let's look at the video again. Let's see if we can find the video. Let's see if we can find the video right now. MH370. There was 3 balls of light that were swinging around it, and then it disappeared. Remember that video, guys? Let's find it. Let's see if we can find that video of the 3 balls of light that were flying around it. I think this is it. Let's go. Okay, guys, hold on 1 second. Oh, wait. I think I am sharing, aren't I? Fuck yeah. Dude, we are getting after the fucking business right now, guys. This is crazy. So MH370 may have a lot to do with this technology. Let's look at this. And we'll play what the other guy had to say. Oh, shit. Let me get back there. That screen's like messing up. Okay, let's try it again. For people just listening, I'm so sorry. That was a lot of silence. Boom! He just disappeared. Did you see that? Here, I'll back it up. For people just listening, there's 3 twirling around the plane, the MH370 plane. 3 things are twirling around it. It's like 3 little drones, 3 little whatever, lights, plasma balls, who knows? And then all of a sudden, dude, it almost looks like it explodes, but it doesn't because there's no material. It just implodes, like it's just gone. It's like a big plasma light ball. Let's watch this again. I usually have the video on all the platforms, so there's no reason why you wouldn't be seeing this video. Look at that, except for the free feed. But, I mean, you could go to YouTube real quick. But look at that, dude. That is crazy. So, Ashton was saying that he thinks this was plasma technology. And so we're going to look at here. He talks about efficiency optimized relativistic plasma harmonics for extreme fields. He posted the same thing I read earlier. Scientists turn plasma into a relativistic mirror that boosts and focuses light to extreme intensities. Their goal was to break the swinger limit where electromagnetic fields become non-linear. This is the mainstream science catching up with the dense plasma fusion reactors in the MH370 videos that is vindicating a man named Salvatore Pais. And we're going to listen to a video by that guy who talks about it being plasma technology that took out that plane, MH370, that went missing. Let's listen to that. That is so crazy.
If I'm interpreting it correctly, then you're talking about high energy plasmas with basically waveforms applied to them. And that would be
non-equilibrium plasmas. That's a key factor. Okay. Non-equilibrium. So we're talking about, you can call them cold plasmas. Plasmas that do not obey the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution of the electrons within them. Okay. And that gives you an idea. How could these plasmas be created? Hint, hint, attosecond, femtosecond lasers, among other things. The other easier way to create these.
If I'm
So there you go. So mainstream science is possibly catching up to what possibly happened with the MH370 plane. Dude, I don't know about you guys, but that honestly blows my mind. I don't know, like, I guess for this crowd, it's like, man, that is just kind of like, you know, whatever. We knew that, but for me, it's like, fuck, dude. When I saw that, that fucking blew my mind. I was excited about that one. So anyway, crazy. So yeah, MH370 probably got taken out by plasma technology. So as we're talking about this technology and all this shit, I think it's important to remind you, before we talk about these ufologists and all these people, let's look at somebody who's been talking about this technology, free energy, and all this stuff for a long time. This keeps freezing up because I'm streaming. There we go. So 1 second here. Pull that up. Okay. So we're going to check out this one here first. We're going to check out a few Stephen Greer's stuff. Stephen Greer, he's got ties to Israel. Possible Mossad agent. He calls it his family's life's work to be working on this alien stuff, but he was a doctor, he said, in the ER, a ER doctor for a while, and then he went into the ufology stuff. And you can't find anything on his parents, so I don't know how this is a family legacy that he's doing, but let's listen to Stephen Greer talk about what these aliens are trying to present to us, and listen to all three of these things. Keep in mind what we just talked about. We just spent the first hour of this show, hour and a half of this show, talking about, holy shit, hour and a half of this show, talking about Alice Bailey's book, Externalization of the Hierarchy. And now we're going to get into, keep that in mind as we listen to what he talks about. Hold on.
Those weren't extraterrestrial. Those are ours. Those are coming out of the Lockheed Skunk Works in Northrop and EG&G and Raytheon. I know where they're made. I know who's worked on them. I mean, this is my family legacy. So I tell people, look, I mean, this stuff if you look at it, that's an alternative energy device. That is not consuming anything you're burning. And so if you were to put something that was stationary, in other words, sitting at your house or in your car, but not flying, that was pulling that kind of energy out of what's called the 0 point field of energy, you'd have no power bill, there'd be no pollution, and within 20 years, all poverty on Earth will be over. So the secrecy around this, however, is the reverse. If you have a handful of global super powerful interests that are controlled.
I'm not going to listen to his propaganda. He's just going to give propaganda now. Don't even listen to that bullshit. Yeah, he's kind of right, but also, there you go. So you hear what he's saying, but also that just reminded me of something. Do you remember the Tesla bomber, or the guy who died in a bombing? Tesla bombing guy, Trump Tower. I talked about him in my first episode I ever did, Fort Bragg episode. It's on Spotify. It's now on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify and Apple. First episode I ever did. We talked about this guy. I forgot his name. I think Matthew Schellenberger or Michael Schell. Let's figure out what his name was. But he talked about 0 point energy. Let's find his name here. But you guys remember this? This was the same day that the New Orleans incident happened. Two different things, same day. The perpetrator was, Matthew Liversberger. I was pretty close. Matthew Livelsberger. I said Schellenberger. It's funny. He's got a juicy last name. He's got a little juicy last name, doesn't he? So anyway, let me pull this out, and we're going to look up what he said about 0 point energy, because you just heard Stephen Greer. You just heard Stephen Greer talk about 0 point energy. That's what we're looking at, right? Well, this guy bombed himself outside of apparently shot himself with a Desert Eagle, and wrote an email that went through Sean Ryan, the CIA guy, right? You can't make this stuff up. I mean, there's just so much of this stuff. So Sean Ryan, of course, has a guy on that gets an email from him, and he knows Sean Ryan. So then they come and out all this. They all happen to go to Fort Bragg. The guy in New Orleans went to Fort Bragg. This guy went to Fort Bragg. Sean Ryan went to Fort Bragg. The guy who got the email that went on Sean Ryan went to Fort Bragg. And the whole episode I spent going into Fort Bragg being psyops. So if you haven't heard that episode, it's the first episode I ever did. I came out swinging, and I'm very proud of that. Because it's turned out to be so important that I get to turn back and be like, hey, look at that. First thing I ever did. So he had a theory about these drones. Look at this. So he had a theory about these drones. Let's find this 0 point energy, because I know that's what it said. Energy. How about energy? Did they use the word energy? Shut up. They didn't even talk about it. So there's no point in even being in here. Fuck it. So anyway, just take my word for it. Trust me, bro, as they say, or you could look it up yourself. You'll find it. He did talk about that. But one of these people that just went missing, these scientists, died in a Tesla fire. A fire in a Tesla. Scientist. Now, isn't that weird that there's a scientist working on 0-point energy that died in a Tesla fire? And this other guy talked about dying in a Tesla fire, talking about this? Yeah, scientist oft is not coincidental. 29-year-old NASA engineer who was reported missing, found burned in a Tesla, dead. Unrecognizable, beyond recognition. Mystery of the missing scientist deepens. I think it's a little sick that they're just now really talking about this because they're obviously building a narrative, but nonetheless, you see this? It's kind of crazy. Okay, so moving on.
Some years ago.
Steve Greer's got more bullshit for us, but just listen to what he has to say, and I hope you're making connections with me, and I'll annotate it with you or whatever. So let's do it.
So I was invited to go to an underground research facility in El Paso on the Mexican-American border. And this was a place where they were doing these sort of technologies that are transdimensional, but medical applications, major stuff, technologies that literally, electromagnetic, transdimensional technologies where they can, if someone...
Electromagnetic, constant. We're going to be hearing about that. That's probably all we're going to talk about. Not really, but plasma is going to be a big one that we get into. I think I'm going to study up on plasma a lot because, you know, and there's a chick that talks about plasma a lot that I want to get in contact with and talk to her. She talks about it from a level of like ascension. I'm not really a fan of that, but hey, I'm willing to talk to anybody. So let's check this out.
Someone had a missing limb. They can attach to the subtle body, you know, the mystics call astral body, but that energy, like you have phantom pain, and regrow it. Here's the issue. The same technology that gives you that would give you free energy to run your house because it's in that same, let's call it constellation.
Here we go. Now we're building the free energy narrative. Free energy to run your house. That's the important part, right? Regrow your limbs. We can regrow your limbs, power your home. This is why they're killing the scientists, right? They're selling you a utopia. Now, I'm sure BD in the chat, I'm gonna call her BD. She always has good comments. I'm sure she understands that they really just want us to accept this narrative for utopia. So we'll take this technocratic police state that comes with it because that's really what it is. And it will not be a utopia. So anyway, these men are flawed. They may be able to create technology that can control, track, and everything else, but they're not going to create this kind of technology he's speaking of. They just wouldn't spend that kind of money for humanity. Clearly, they're too busy spending money to kill them with these data centers.
What are we dealing with here? We're dealing with electromagnetic field propulsion and so-called 0-point energy or quantum vacuum energy. Now, when that is disclosed, it means that, well, it'll take us 15 or 20 years, but we would transition into a civilization without pollution, without poverty, where everybody would have free energy. What are we dealing with here? We're dealing with
So there we go. The narrative has been served by Stephen Greer for a long time. So here we are. You know, he's going to keep serving that, and now it's coming, and people are going to start playing Stephen Greer's videos, and they're going to start saying, look, he's been saying this for a long time. Look at this. 0 energy, 0-point energy, free energy. That's what they've been hiding. We got to get it. And of course they're going to say, yeah, here you go. We got, you know, this police state though that we're going to have to enact too. You know, it's part of the modernity that we have to have. And here we are. Something like that, give or take. That's what I see coming. You know, I get from Shannon. Hell yeah. Welcome in, Shannon. How you doing? Welcome. Hey, Titty Kaka's back. You got anything wild to say tonight? It's the eagle eye, bitch, controlling everyone. Yes, sir. You're right. Titty Kaka got another one. We don't know if that even really happened. The guy was a failed actor. Who we talking about? I forgot. Sorry. Something else I'm going to show you. And I'm going to segue into the scientists. And this is just a little bit of a marathon episode, isn't it? But I want to, I mean, we got to, I just can't help myself. I probably don't do myself any favors not splitting this into multiple episodes. But I really, I can't help myself. So it is what it is. I like to hang out and present it all in one go. So Coast to Coast Radio tonight. If you guys are bored later, Heather Lynn, Dr. Heather Lynn is going to come on to Coast Radio. I don't know why I'm promoting her to go. But anyway, she's going to be talking about the Anunnaki and how they are ultra-terrestrials and interdimensional intelligences. And now take that, what she's trying to say, with the fact that I'm talking about this interdimensional hierarchy or this planetary hierarchy that led to the Anunnaki theory. Here, hold on. Let's find out if the guy who came up with the Anunnaki theory was a theosophist theory. Who did it come from? Mathematician? What's his name? Anunnaki theory. It came from that guy, dude. What the hell was his name? What's his name, dude? I cannot remember. Origin. Because they want to say it's factual history, like Sumerian origin, which may be true, but who's the guy who decoded the Zachariah Sitchin? Yeah. I remember. Okay. Zachariah Sitchin. Was he a theosophist? I mean, I may be stretching here, but I'm just curious. Probably wasn't, right? Let's see here. See if we can find out. I don't see anything. Explains how. What is this? Which mainstream books and scholars explain how Theosophy and Zachariah Sitchin influenced modern conspiracy theories? Huh. Sitchin is widely credited with the ancient astronauts narrative and the Anunnaki story in mass market conspiracy culture. Of course, we know this. So this person must be connecting what I'm connecting, which is his ancient astronaut theory is the same thing as this planetary hierarchy that Alice Bailey's talking about. So somebody else figured this out as well. And, well, I don't know if they did, but it seems like they might have. They go Theosophy, Theosophical figures, the New Age ideas. Theosophy seeded specific contemporary conspiracy theories. It doesn't really get into detail here. Anyway, whatever. Well, this guy obviously very similar narrative is my point. So there's something to that. What's up, Murray? How you doing, man? Welcome in. Or lady, I don't know. I think you're a guy. Welcome. How are we doing? So check this out. This is another thing I want to show you. Zachariah Sitchin, I think, is a fraud. I think he was a Zionist for sure, too. I could pull that up as well. So whatever. I remember he was a Jew. There it is, Jack. That's my dog. Dude, him and Jeezy, they know. And Bird. Dude, everybody in here, they know, dude. They're on it. Masonry, the whole deal. Yes, sir. They always are. Anyway. So Jeremy Corbell is coming out with another video. Yeah, Murray's a guy. I knew it. Yeah, Jeremy Corbell is coming out with another video. And let's look at this. It's a documentary. And he apparently has leaked documents prove that the U.S. labs where missing scientists worked was studying UFOs. Now we're getting connected from the UFOs, Anunnaki, the planetary hierarchy, the whole thing. For anybody getting here late, you're going to have to go back later. And I mean, dude, I'm telling you, this whole thing, like, you got to listen to the whole thing front to back, like from the beginning to back later, because it all leads together, I think. I've tried to paint this little beautiful and box it up pretty like a present. And here it is. I'm presenting it to you. Happy birthday. So anyway, a trove of documents from the now dead cybersecurity chief of Los Alamos National Laboratory, where 11 missing U.S. dead scientists worked, purport to show that the U.S. government secretly conducted UFO-related experiments for decades. According to a new documentary by Jeremy Corbell that claims in the upcoming flick Sleeping Dog, he receives valuable classified documents from the son of the deceased cybersecurity chief, the highly secretive New Mexico lab. This guy always has an inside scoop, doesn't he? This guy is so full of shit, dude. Dude, and he did that with Bob Lazar too. He was like, we're going to have stuff you've never seen. And like, there was nothing. There was nothing, dude. Come on, Jeremy, get out of here, bro. These guys are full of shit. Anyway, so let's move on. That's my little tidbit on that. If you want to check out Jeremy Corbell's Sleeping Dogs, I hate to promote his bullshit. So, you know, you can if you want to. I'm not telling you to. Just so you know. All right, let's put this up as well. Hold on here. Now, Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo, of all people. He's talking about Amy Escridge. Now, she's a very, very popular character that went missing out of this whole situation. And to be honest with you, she might be pretty credible. This chick was out there really trying to talk about what was going on, from what I could tell. And she said at one point, she said, you know, if I stick out my neck in private, then they'll just burn my house down while I'm sleeping and it won't even make the news. But if I put my neck out in public and go and tell people what I know, then they won't kill me as easily, etc. Right? I try to take that same logic, but who knows, you know? Anyway, I think she knew too much and she really did have a background, so they did actually take her out. I mean, or maybe not. Maybe they drove her crazy by gang stalking her and driving her crazy to where she did really kill herself because they ruled it a suicide by gunshot just to spoil the spoiler of how she died. So, very much. Let's go to Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo's brother, the guy who killed all the fucking old people during COVID, the thing. Let's go ahead and check this out real quick. A short, I'm not going to play the whole thing. This guy doesn't even know how to say directed energy weapon. He says directed weapon energy. He's fucking half retarded. Not Chris Cuomo, the other guy he has on. That's why we talk about this shit. Obviously, we talk about it all the time. We know what this stuff is. These guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. But let's listen to him give a little breakdown. I think he does a decent job, even though this guy is a fucking clearly paid WAP fed.
FBI announced that it is now investigating a string of mysterious deaths and disappearances involving top U.S. scientists over the past several years. Some had reported ties to the UAP community, the UFO community. Today, and now look, I've covered this with Ross Coulthard, and I've been doing a lot of reporting on it, where I've been reading into it, and I haven't really attacked it because I think it's more correlation and interesting for social media, but not really true causation. But today, we got thrown a curveball. Amy Escridge.
Now, here's the thing. I agree with what he just said still, okay? And I still think that there is a reason why these people are dying, but also it's not going to be what they tell us. That being said, people like this get to serve the narrative of what they're really hiding, right? Eventually. So that's where I go, oh, get out of here. Okay, sorry, guys.
Is one of those who is dead. We know what happened to her. She's dead. We don't know how she died. It was ruled a suicide, but this happened back in 2022. She'd been working on anti-gravity technology, allegedly sent alarming text messages to a friend just a month before her suicide. These were the kinds of messages. If you see any report that I killed myself, I didn't. If you see any report that I overdosed, I didn't. She continued, if you see any reports that I shot anybody, I didn't. Now, you could say, okay, maybe she was struggling. These are pictures of her hands. She said that she had been hit with some kind of weird energy ray device.
Okay, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about either. Okay, so she was obviously being gang stalked by the feds, clearly. You know, they're hitting her with directed energy weapons. She's talking about stuff she shouldn't be. She ends up fucking probably getting driven crazy. They're constantly outside her home. Who knows what the hell they were doing? I mean, these people, man, I worry about that happening to me eventually because I don't think they'll necessarily kill me first. I think it'll be something like that, if I'm being honest. But anyway, I try not to think about that shit because I don't let fear hold any space in my mind. So let's play this.
And her hands were red. Her window had weird marks on it. News Nation has been digging on this. We talked to the person who says that he got sent these texts, and he's a former intelligence official. But her father and her family says,
no, the intelligence officials are the ones telling us that they got the text. So again, it could be building this narrative because, again, we can't put that past them. They like to build narratives. So just saying. Chris Cuomo, 33. Yes, sir, Birdman. That's my esoteric master, dude. He's my young apprentice. We're some esoteric apprentices, both of us, really. Not to any master, though. Okay, so anyway, the planetary hierarchy and ascending masters, etc. They're all one and the same. People don't who do DMT can tell you about them. Same ones over and over. That's exactly right, B-Dale. BD. You're exactly right. Okay. Let's get to what I have saved about Amy Escridge. Birdman, thank you, sir. Hell yeah, dude. All right, so let's see what we got here. Amy Escridge, that's what we want to show you first, right? All right, am I projecting? I am, okay. So she was doing videos, man. She was talking to people, all right? So let's see.
People don't know what Huntsville is. Huntsville is the biggest fucking deal.
My wife's friend lives in Alabama, and I can attest that Huntsville, because it's like the hub for NASA, I'm sure a lot of people know this. Werner von Braun was buried there. Like, this is the place. And Werner von Braun was the Nazi scientist that got brought over during Project Paperclip that ended up running NASA, who has on his, the whole first scripture, Psalms, on his tombstone. And he wrote the book about Elon that takes us to Mars, that's going to have a League of 10, like X, 10, that is going to run everybody like a technocratic system. So, wow, pretty on brand, if you ask me. And he wrote that before Elon was even around. So, very, very interesting, man. But Huntsville, Alabama is where all this is. It's a very major intelligence place. And she lives there and worked there. So, listen to this shit. Huntsville is the Silicon Valley of the government, national security technology, and intelligence community technology. I mean, and aerospace technology. That's crazy. Huntsville is the hub. All right, let's listen.
On the planet that you have never heard of. No, it is. No, like Huntsville is the Silicon Valley of government, national security technology, and intelligence community technology and aerospace technology. Huntsville is like the hub. Like, we are number 3 on the first strike.
Dude, she is drunk, by the way. Like, in most of these, she's like, you could tell she's like slizzard up, dude. She's slizzard. She is chilling. She's got her rosé in her hand. It looks like some rosé she's sipping on. She's probably a few in, probably a wino. Nothing against her. I mean, she's probably got heavy shit in her head. I don't blame her.
Launch list. If first strike happens, 3 targets, Huntsville will be one of them. Alabama. This is an Alabama dude in the deep south. We're in the top 3 first strike.
But
and it's because you haven't heard of us. We're in the top 3 first strike because you haven't heard of us.
She's saying like nuclear strike. If there's a nuclear strike, they'd be in the top 3 because of the things that they have there, the black projects, etc. Exotic sciences and all that stuff. It looks like they gave a good detail in the actual post here of like what she's saying, a little better. But yeah, dude, pretty crazy. Let's look at another one she was saying here.
So the ultra terrestrials, I'll just tell you, the ultra terrestrials, I think. Have you heard of the P-52s and the P-47s? Do you know what that is? They're us from the future. They're from here. They are you. They are me. They're from here, from the future. P-47 is present plus 47,000 years. P-52 is present plus 52,000 years. And basically there's a calamity, right? So there's like a apocalypse scenario in the near future. It wipes out most of like everything, man. And there's the ones that go underground and survive, right? And then there's the ones that somehow stay on the surface and miraculously don't die. So the ultra terrestrials, I'll just tell you.
All right. Some of that fun stuff, right? That is fun. Yeah, I don't know. I'm impartial to that. I don't know how I feel, but whatever. I don't know how much real stuff she gave about the anti-gravity technology.
I started
on. Oh, here we go. Last recording of anti-gravity scientists. Hopefully she talks about the actual exotic science she worked on with her dad, a retired NASA engineer. So a lot of this information could be coming secondhand from her dad. I don't know. Just maybe. Just trying to be objective.
the Institute for one reason. One reason.
Have we proven that she worked as a scientist there? Like, hold on a second. Did Amy Escridge for sure? Occupation. Let's just look it up. Let's just fucking, I don't want to sit here and, she was an American chemist, entrepreneur, and researcher, best known as a co-founder of chairwoman, president of the Institute for Exotic Science, an organization dedicated to research in exotic science, including gravity modification, quantum computing, metamaterial science, and unrelated advanced technologies. She definitely didn't get this secondhand from her dad at all. A father-daughter company focused on gravity modification research is what she started, called Holocron. With her father, Richard Escridge, a retired NASA engineer, her work included microelectromechanical systems. Wow. Non-viral polymeric drug delivery formulation, gene therapy research. Oh boy. Oh boy. Biotech. Oh boy. So she was literally working with how all this stuff merges together when you're speaking of like exotic sciences, gravity modification with plasmas and genetic modification. Dude, wow. Wow. She had a passion for space and advanced propulsion concepts, which she explored in both public and private research settings. Holy shit, dude. If that's all true, that is amazing. Vindication is what that is, if that's true. This shit is real. Everything we talk about on this show is just every day, I feel like, more real than I ever thought.
The Institute. I started it as a public.
To give you some idea, there's a point whenever I was doing this show that I literally was like, what if I got to end this because, like, this is just bullshit? Like, I find out that, like, all right, you know, because I want to be objective. I don't want to just keep a lie going. I was like, maybe I'll just do like a spiritual podcast or something. But no, I mean, really, you know, I'll of course add that into this as I have before. But man, this stuff is legit.
Like facing persona to disclose anti-gravity technology through, because I told Mark this, if you stick your neck out in public, it notices if your head gets chopped off. If you stick your neck out in private, they will bury you. They will burn down your house while you're sleeping.
This proves our theory that they're obviously letting this out on purpose so they could bring some climax, some kind of whatever, right? So just keep that in mind.
Sleeping in your bed, and it won't even make the news. That's why the Institute exists. So it's a platform of credibility and public-facing persona. So like, sorry, my laptop's falling. So I need to establish that like at least 3 months ahead of time, which is basically now, to be real. 3 months ahead of time is basically today. I need a documentary fucked up. And the reason I need the documentary is simple and it's fucked up at the same time. We need to tell the story. The thing is, do you believe in the secret space program? Do you subscribe to the SSP being real? Oh shit. Hold on. Let me check my fucking Intel notebook to find the correct organization name. I don't know. Hold on. I'm talking about the military industrial complex, SSP, aka Lockheed Boeing Northrop. I started the Institute for one reason, the Institute. I started it as a public-facing persona.
Man, dude, I want to find everything I can about what this woman was trying to say, dude. I really do. I don't know about you guys. Do you find her credible? What do you guys think about this? What do you think? I think she might be the most interesting one. No, she's not. I got another one for you in a minute. We're going to get into that too. But she's up there. She's right there with it. There's another one that's very interesting that nobody's talking about, that you guys probably even forgot about, that you're going to be like, oh my God, duh. Very interesting. We'll get to that. But yeah, do you think that she's like legit, man? I think that she's honest. Like there's something to her and everything. But yeah. Can't wait to become a sewer dweller, Flux says. Time traveling aliens, bro. Yeah, dude. It all is becoming more weird and whatever now than ever. No more fake NASA space shuttle launches that cost billions of dollars if we have anti-gravity. No shit, Birdman. They just want to burn up all of our tax money and send it over to Israel so they can all fucking have free abortions. What the hell, dude? We're paying for babies to die in Israel. Red wine ain't bad. Grateful she loosened up. Yeah, BD ain't lying, dude. Anyway, all right. So let's get to this other one that I was thinking of. Did I send it to myself? We have yeah, we did. I did. Watch this, guys. This one's interesting. To use that word again, I really got to stop. So first of all, let's go through this real quick, because I don't want to miss anybody. Amy Escridge, number 1, anti-gravity propulsion, UFO extraterrestrial research, and electrostatic propulsion, genetic therapy. They left that one out. Her cause of death was ruled self-inflicted gunshot wound. Michael David Hicks. Now, by the way, this is the oldest case in the FBI review. It goes back to 2022. So we got somebody else, 2022. Michael David Hicks, research scientist for NASA Jet Propulsion's laboratory in California, deep space observation and asteroid characterization. Oh, how was his death ruled? Cause of death, unknown. No NASA statement. Found deceased at his residence. We don't know how he died. Great. So we got another one, undisclosed, no statement from NASA. Frank Mywald. Wow, I love how NASA can just not tell you how people die. Frank Mywald is a principal scientist, NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory as well, planetary robotic systems, as well as JPL deep space missions. He died in 2024. JPL Labs. Anthony Chavez, missing since 2025, May 8th, retired employee of Los Alamos. Monica Reza, last seen hiking, also missing. 2025, June 22nd. About the same time, May and June. Rocket materials engineering is what she dealt with. She patented the nickel super gray super alloy used in Starship and New Glenn reusable rockets. So, very smart woman. Melissa Cassius, administrative officer at Los Alamos Laboratory, high security clearance. Car, belongings never found. So she's still missing. Hiker. A lot of these people are missing in national forests. Kansas City government contractor, National Security Campus, went missing. 2025. Another missing. Body found in lake in Massachusetts. This guy is Jason Thomas. Pharmaceutical research, cancer treatments. Here we go. This one's important. Well, first of all, let's say this one first. Carl Grimware. This is the guy that was like at his desert home in the middle of nowhere. He's found on his front porch. I believe he was shot. They left that out. Astrophysicist. The bald one that was kind of redheaded. Now, Nuno Loureiro is very, 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 very interesting. This character is interesting because we're going to get to it. He's an MIT Plasma Science and Fusion Center director from Massachusetts, working on plasma physics. Plasma. He was outside his home, found dead as well, December 16th, 2025. So I have a question here. What day was the Bondi shooting? Just curious here. December 14th. Okay, yeah, about the same time. That's like all we heard about. What day was the Brown University shooting? December 13th. So December 13th, December 14th, and December 16th. Now, why that matters? Why does that matter, Andrew? Why are you going through like 3 different events that have nothing to do with each other? Well, after I asked myself that question, the reason why is because if I could find this shit, the Brown University shooter, the man who shot up the university, I believe is the one who killed that MIT scientist, but at the very least, he went to school with the MIT scientists. And that is an odd correlation. And just to keep it going, you had the false flagnica, as we did in our episode, the Hanukkah event that happened, the Bondi shooting. Bondi. FBI believes the MIT nuclear scientist murdered in Boston and the Brown University shooter were classmates at a school in Portugal. Let's listen to this. Hold on, am I projecting? Let me make sure I am. Yeah, okay. Check it out.
In the physics building, he was studying physics. Have you tied all that up, and does that lead, why target one person in Massachusetts and then a whole class here in Providence?
Yes, it is true that Mr. Valente was a physics student. Also, we know that the MIT, the victim there, was in that discipline as well. I will tell you that there's multiple phases to an investigation. And so now, in a sense that we know the subject is deceased, now the investigation continues to find all of those answers to your question, sir.
Did you go to school with the professor? Did you go to school with the professor who killed Brown?
It is believed that in Lisbon, that those two individuals attended the same university in Portugal.
Whoa, so that's crazy, isn't it? So who killed the MIT scientist? Who killed that guy? Was it the shooter? Was it the same guy? Who killed him? 47-year-old professor, nuclear scientist, killed December 2025. Valenti, Claudio Nueves Valenti. So who did the Brown shooting? Who did the Brown University shooting? Because, of course, they don't ever just project that forward for you. Yep, same guy. Same guy. So he went and killed the guy he went to school with. And then what? The whole theory was that he was mad that he did better than him at school, I think was the whole thing that came out. Yeah, okay. Okay. So anyway, very interesting. Would-be UFO whistleblower died of accidental drug overdose, agreeing to testify. This just came out today. So April 25th, that is as of today, April 25th. This will be coming out later for the free feed, so obviously this is not as recent as it is for the stream. If you want to get this as early as the stream, go subscribe on YouTube, and you can always see when we do this. An Air Force veteran who agreed to testify before Congress about secret government UFO programs died just months before the hearing of an accidental drug overdose. This is 2024, dude, and they're just posting it today. See what they're doing? They're building up a narrative. The question is why? I always ask why, even if it's true, why? Chinese scientists. Now we're stretching over to China. Chinese military scientists have been dying mysteriously. 11 U.S. nuclear and space experts die or go missing as well. Just crazy to me. A trove of leaked documents prove U.S. lab where missing scientists worked was studying UFOs. Documentary claims. That is the Jeremy Corbell one. And as I mentioned earlier, there was that engineer who was burned inside his Tesla. We have multiple scientists tied to NASA Los Alamos found dead or missing. Here's a picture of all of them, or at least most of them. Crazy. Great person to follow for this stuff if you're really interested in UFO stuff. Red Panda Koala, I'm sure you know that. Last known locations of all these people were Alabama, New Mexico, and California. 3 states. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 states. We also have Maryland. Now, Edward Casey. Here, let's look this up just because I told you guys this earlier. I would go into this. David Wilcock. Edward Casey reincarnated is what he claimed to be. David Wilcock. In his work, Wilcock and Free presented a theory that Wilcock was the reincarnation of Edgar Casey, the 20th century American clairvoyant known as the Sleeping Prophet. Casey, born in 1877, died in 1945 and was famed for his abilities to diagnose and treat the illness, often in dreams. And he had a lot to do with the Egyptian, like, channeling and stuff like that, like seeing under the temple or the pyramid or the Sphinx. He had a lot to do with that stuff. Edward Casey, just to prove the connection that I mentioned earlier, was a part of the Theosophical Society. Edward Casey Theosophy Wiki. Theosophy Wiki. I didn't even know Theosophy had their own wiki. Why wouldn't they? Right? Look at this. Why wouldn't they? Look at it. Look at the Theosophy Wiki. Oh, wait a minute. What is that? That looks a lot like the Coexist bumper sticker. Here, I don't even gotta. I bet I can find the image just by typing Coexist. Look at that. Look at how similar that is to this Edgar Casey, this Theosophy Wiki with the snake eating its tail. You have the lotus flower. You've got well, I guess they kind of did it right, but they kind of turned it to the side a little bit. Yeah, dude, they did it like the Nazis did. That's crazy. Instead of the actual way that the Buddhists or the Asians did. How crazy is that? Okay, sorry. That's interesting. Are the Brown University shooting and the killing of MIT's top nuclear fusion physicists connected? I believe they are. We talked about that. This is where I was looking to find that. So, man, so the building of the third temple is going to be done. And the way they're going to do it is obviously with the disclosure of everything you're seeing, the scientists, all this shit. So here we are. And we have the hierarchy, the planetary hierarchy, the Demiurge that's approaching. Alice Bailey said this 100 years ago for this new age. We're going to receive new knowledge. We're going to change. But the thing is, many are called, but few are chosen. So a lot of people will be sacrificed. A lot of people will die. But don't worry, because there's many existences in this life, or in our soul's existences, that it gets to have. So this physical destruction of our body is no big deal. We're going to be fine. So anyway, not good. Now we're heading into the actual disclosure of things. The lady with Chris Bledsoe, I think, leads into all this, of course, that Stephen talks about. So anyway, the third temple, the digital third temple, we will be getting into that next. And maybe after that, we'll do some plasma technology stuff, some plasma sciences. And finally, Mystery Babylon, revamping Bill Cooper's Mystery Babylon is finally going to happen after that. And it's just in time for Mystery Babylon to come true, for everything to come and happen. So crazy times, guys. Sorry if I talk fast. Crazy times. Crazy times. So shout out everybody, Jeezy, everybody that's in the chat. We'll go through the chat a little bit. Shannon, shout out Shannon. This shit is crazy. I agree. Shannon was a UFO whistleblower who had an accidental overdose after he agreed to testify at Congress. Oh, yeah, that was the, Sullivan, rather. Yeah, that was the guy we talked about. Same guy. Some of these missing, most of these missing or dead scientists are usually from German descent. Uncanny that they are working on similar and same projects. I agree. Very weird. Be careful. You're starting to believe the people that have lied to you for the whole life. Oh, no, not me. Never me. I know all this is fake and gay, as they say. Trying to scramble us conspiracy theorists. I agree. That is right. That's honestly since the beginning. The whole point was to scramble the conspiracy theorists because they asked the questions. Now stay out of the national forest. BD is right. Can't even go around there, dude. It's crazy. But yeah, Edgar Casey believed he was a psychic. What else we got here? That's backwards from the Nazi sign. Oh, yeah. Hi, just joined. Did brief me? Kind of just did. Definitely kind of just did, but definitely go listen to the whole thing through. I promise you it'll be worth it. Will it be worth it, chat? What do you guys think? I mean, was that good? Was that a banger? I believe that it was 2 hours. It was a long one, but I think that we really got through a lot of shit. And if you really listen and dissect that, I think you'll really understand if you don't, what's happening. It's very obvious. It becomes very obvious where we're headed at that point. Sabrina Wallace is great. I've checked her out. Thank you, KK Wellness. I've definitely checked her out. She's great. KK Wellness. Do you do wellness stuff? Do you have some kind of wellness company? That's pretty cool. Maybe we should hook up and do a little, little collab. I'll sell your product. Always down for anything that's good for people. Hell of a banger, Jeezy says. Thank you, sir. Crazy shit. And listen again. Definitely do, Murray. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, Flux. You've been here the whole time. I appreciate you, man. And you were here early and you stayed late. You guys are great. Hey, Wellness. Well, go ahead and email me, 6gagendapod@gmail.com. And I'd love to promote your product. And I'm sure the people would love something to keep them healthy in this crazy, dirty, fucking evil world we're in. I'll see you guys tomorrow with Ben. I think we're doing a double header with Steven from Biblical Hitmen as well. So see you then. Have a great day. Peace out.